Going to talk about a situation yesterday where I got this weird text and didn't know what to think of it. Just figured it was a wrong number, which it was, but it was a text that said, "How was your day?" This is from a number I did not recognize, and I was driving home from this new job I've been doing yesterday afternoon. So I get home, I look up the area code, and it's California. I live in Tennessee, and I just said, "Who is this?" Took them a little while to get back to me, but then it was a person who said her name was Anna, and that she thought I was some guy, I guess, sounds generic, right? Kind of a red flag now that I think about it, but last name, she thought I was this guy by the last name of Smith that she had met in LA. And I was like, no, I'm not this guy. And it was kind of weird. Usually something like that would just end with, "Oh, sorry to bother you," whatever, or they just don't say anything and that's the end of it. But she kept texting, like, just little things that were like, "I'm sorry if I bothered you," or "Sorry if this was disturbing to you," or something like that. And I don't know, I was just thinking, life is weird sometimes, how people can meet or talk or whatever. And everything I've been through, I just kind of, I guess, just going with the flow of weird things that happen. And I was like, just weird things happen. And it's weird how you ended up with my number, or ended up maybe dialing the wrong number or whatever. And then she said something about fate. It said something about, "Well, again, my name is Anna. Do you want to be friends? What's your name?" And I was like, why not? Why not just text? And what's the worst thing that can happen, right? This is all I was thinking. I was like, I'm not looking to meet anybody. I'm not looking for anything to come of anything. I'm just been in this bad depression for so long and trying to survive, really, in a lot of ways, and trying to dig out of a hole. But so I was like, life's weird, life's crazy, it's kooky a lot of times. Why not just text with her? So we do, and she's just telling me how she's from Italy and moved to California, and I knew certain questions were going to happen. That's the thing. So I'm going to get into how people lie. A lot of times we'll lie about certain things when we say, it don't matter how we meet, say this weird circumstance, or you're on social media, meet somebody, or you meet somebody out in public even, or whatever. It seems you're going to get the inevitable questions right from the beginning, right? And I'm not saying they're just invalid, but you're going to get the age question, you're going to get the work question, what do you do? And I'm not saying it's not important, but I do think people are obsessed with that shit. What do you do? What do you do? How much money do you make? I mean, it does get obnoxious with how people obsess. A lot of times that's what they'll box you into, is your finances or your money. It don't matter what you look like. You could be a damn model. If you don't make a certain amount of money, they're done. But anyway, it came up the age question first. Now, in the past, I have lied about my age before, because I'm not saying it's right, but I know people judge that too. They'll automatically make don't matter what you look like. You can look like you're 30, or you look like you're whatever, but you tell them you're a lot older, a lot of times they might be attracted to you when they see you and have a certain interpretation of you. But like, say, for instance, for me, a lot of times people think I'm younger, and then You tell them I'm 49. Oh, they have a suddenly different impression of you. Don't matter the fuck that they were attracted to you. It's just, oh, now it's like they totally feel different. It's just amusing to me how people interpret things based off a number when a lot of times they're looking at you and they're wanting to talk more to you, and then that comes up and it changes everything sometimes. Not every time. I mean, I've had women a lot younger than me that are attractive, regardless. But then it is funny how certain people will react to that. But I told her the truth. I said I'm 49, and she thought I was lying. She had, based off the picture I sent her, she thought I was around 30. I said, no, I said, it's probably genetics. And I mean, I do try to take a certain amount of care of myself, even with all the crap I've been through, even with all the depression and wanting to unalive and all these things that have happened. I still try to not overeat too much or eat a ton of crap if I can help it. I mean, I still eat some, but I try to run some still. I'm not up to my standards and what I would normally do, but still. But anyway, I told her the truth about it, and she's 35, she said, and then it just kind of progressed as to a little chit chat, seemed okay. But then, of course, I knew the inevitable question was coming as well about, she tells me she's a fashion designer, and then, of course, wants to know what I do. And that's okay wanting to know, but I knew this was going to go one or two ways. Well, first of all, I could have lied again. I could have, a lot of people will do this, right? They want to get in with somebody. So if you want to get in with somebody, a lot of times you can tell whatever lies you want, and you can manipulate and see how far that'll take you. Sometimes it takes you far, but inevitably the truth of whatever is going to come out, and there's going to be some reaction to that. There's going to be some kind of karma or karmic reaction or something down the road that will happen. So I knew this was happening, and with me being in therapy, my therapist is not judgmental. It's very open-minded, very kind, very caring, but I tell her the truth. So, I feel more held to account to try to do things in a better way for myself all the way around. So for me, I wasn't going to lie to this person. I was just like, and I say this person, she says she's this woman, Anna, 35. I'll get into this more in a bit. I'm starting to think now she might not have even been real, but let's just say she is. Anyway, I tell her, well, before COVID, I started to go into a depression. I've been in a bad depression, up and down, severe depression for a very long time, and that caused a hit to my finances and jobs and all of that. I said, now I work in a retail shop. Not lying. I think sometimes you tell the truth, you can still be vague with some things until you get to know someone better. So you don't have to tell everything, but if you're going to answer certain questions, I think it's best to be honest. But like I said, you can get into more detail about what you're doing later. I wasn't going to just say I'm working in this adult store and just put it all out there. But I said, yeah, I'm just working at a retail shop and I'm trying to live again. That's what I said. So by doing this, in the past, I would have felt worthlessness for that. I would have felt self-pity. I would have felt worthlessness, like I'm a piece of crap. I didn't feel that this time. I felt, hey, it's not on me for telling the truth. It's really a reflection of the people you're telling this to, how they act when you tell them this information. So she could have reacted in a couple of ways. Now, this is a reflection of character to me now from another person. When you tell them these things, okay, that's when you know what they're really about, because they're either going to come back and say, oh, I'm sorry this has happened to you, and things can happen in life. And it doesn't mean they have to get in a relationship with you. But she said she wanted to be friends. Friends is two people who talk, chat, whatever. But what she did with that information, no response. And I was like, okay, and it's kind of what I thought was going to happen, to be honest with you, because this is how so many people act today. It's almost like they lie to each other all the time, a lot of people. Like say this girl is real and she meets whoever and they're super successful and everything else. They can still be habitual liars and abusers. And often that's the case. I mean, it's not the case with everybody, but a lot of times you meet a very successful individual, they're a narcissist, they could be all kinds of stuff. They could abuse you physically, emotionally, they could dump all over you because they are successful. So I kind of find this amusing. I'm starting to find this amusing because I knew when I told her, I was like, okay, I'm going to bet she'll ghost. Yep, she ghosted. I was like, total reflection of her in that she don't even want to be friends now. Don't even want to chat. Don't want to. But if I'd have told her, say, oh, I'm a CEO, or even if I worked in some place she just found interesting, or thought there was some kind of, a lot of people thought my job at the Wax Museum was interesting because I also worked as a haunted house actor. So some people might get into that sort of thing. But if I told her I was real successful in business or some other crap, then she'd have probably been on board. But who wants to be with somebody because they're just on board with your damn finances, or they're on board with because you make X amount of money? It's really ridiculous the more I think about it. But this is where people's minds often are. And I'm not saying you shouldn't care about any of that stuff, but if that's all you're really gravitating toward is the materialism, the ownership of shit, and a lot of the world is like that. America is definitely like that because corporations in our country have so much control of everything. I mean, if you're in another country, you may know, you may not know, America, we don't have universal health care. We don't have guaranteed vacations. We don't have parental leaves, or I don't have children, but I'm just saying we don't have any of this stuff unless a company, by the graciousness of their heart, wants to give it to you. They have the control. Now, I'm not saying we don't have systems in different states that can help us out, like what I found to go to therapy, but you have to search this stuff out. We don't have any real safety nets that are solid in this country, in the United States. So, and people do focus here, as far as the dating world and things, a lot of people focus just on the materialism. Now, the other aspect of this, well, let's just say I didn't lie. So that was the thing. I by not lying, I learned if this person was in fact a real individual, not being a fake person. I learned real quick her character. So why would I want to deal with her anyway? Okay, now, because she didn't even want to get to know me as an individual. We just scratched the surface. But the other aspect of this is catfishing. I have had this happen to me before, and lots of people have. There's been documentaries done on catfishing. It's even happened to celebrities. There was a football player, I think, played for Notre Dame, that was catfished for a long time. Might have been a few years. I don't know. It was a long time that he fell for one of these things where a person said they were somebody, and he thought this person was a certain woman, and they always had excuses as to why they couldn't meet him, or maybe even get on webcam. Different things that happened. This happened to a lot of people. It's happened to me too. It's happened to me at least a couple of times where I fell into it before I realized now, you really have to pay attention to every situation that comes about. And I started thinking about this woman, if she was real. Today, when I got up today, I started thinking more about it. She may not have even been real. I mean, she may have, the pictures she sent me could have been fake. Maybe this is a scam her and some people run, or a group of people run. Maybe they call random numbers and they find out. There's all kinds of scams out there now. So she could have been real, she could not have been real. That's another factor in this. Last time I was on Instagram, which I'm not on there right now, but last time I was, gosh, I probably had at least 3 different people try to run catfishing stuff on me, acting like they were certain people. They would give themselves away though, because they would try to get to know you a little bit, and then they would break out that they wanted access to things, like, or they needed money, or they would try to come up with clever ways of seeing if they could get access to you. Like, they would want your real phone number and then want to try to get at, I forgot, there's little techniques they use to try to get access to things, to where then they can try to get into scamming your credit and things like that. So I didn't fall for those. There was one that was pretty convincing, but then I realized it was a scam, and there's a lot of that going on. These people, some of them are in other countries. They run these little networks of scamming people, catfishing. So a lot of you are probably aware of that. If you're not, be very careful. Like what happened to me, if you get a wrong number and then they suddenly want to start talking to you, that's another factor. It's kind of a red flag when I think more about it. But, you know, I was just like, I go along with it, see what happens, because I've become aware enough to keep my guard up on things. So I just kind of like, let's see what this person says or does, or how they act. That's another reason why you should be honest. You'll see people, whether they're fake or not, you'll see their real intentions come out. So I guess what I'll say toward maybe trying to end this video is that I think honesty works the best. And I'm not saying you should just divulge all your information immediately to anybody and vomit up all your life in every detail. I'm just saying that try to keep you want to have some integrity, because if you don't have any, I've been without integrity before in situations. It usually will backfire. It don't always backfire immediately, but usually it comes back in some form or fashion. If somebody really wants to know you, somebody really cares about you, they're going to care about you. They're going to want to know more about you. And if you tell them you've went through some hardships, they're going to want to know more about why that happened. They're not just going to up and ghost you. That's just, it's again ridiculous, because it really points to their own problems and their own issues and their own insecurities, and probably means they lie to a certain degree about their own life. So, and like I said, me going to therapy also holds me more to account, I feel like, because I wouldn't want to go into my therapy office either and say, oh, I'm lying to so-and-so now about this and that. Not that my therapist is going to be like, oh, you're a horrible person or nothing, but she would definitely want to know, well, why are you doing that? Is it helping you? Is it accomplishing anything for you? Is it going to accomplish anything for you? It's probably not. So anyway, that was, I lost my train of thought. Anyway, I'm just going to say, just try to be, I would say the best policy is to be more honest and beware of catfishing. So I'll talk to you guys later on.